It's the time for the package from China. Let's go. Yeah, so when it comes to these boxes, there's almost never know what you're getting. And this particular model is an absolutely great example. This very cheap, very lightweight box. Some of them are hybrid devices. This thing comes with a non-brand 64 gigabyte. Some of them have different brands, different, like say, sizes, but this is like the non-generic brands, and they get corrupted very often when it actually comes to that. Only one single dongle. Yep, this is the configuration that we have seen many times before. One single dongle that will connect to two controllers. So let's do a quick peek in the controller side. So nowadays we do have like overall better quality. Like we do have the rubberized joysticks. The feel of these things are okay, particularly when you're looking at the back buttons. Look at this, like you could just hear it click. It's absolutely awful. The ABXY buttons are not feeling great. However, the D-pad is not bad at all. On-and-off switch with the batteries. So where all of these controls look the same, it's quite interesting to actually see, because when you're looking at this, it comes to the software itself, it's a hybrid device. And I don't see it very often, but this is more like a device that you use an Android box as for an, let's say, in-game system. So it's interesting, you don't need to swap the SD card or pull it out. Nope, you're getting over here just your typical settings. So we're having all kinds of stuff that we have with the Android boxes. So in here we're finding all of the information about the device, what kind of model number it is, and the Android security patch level. That is 2016. Okay, that's kind of weird, and it seems to be Android 11. So when it comes to the Android boxes, I would like say not really use it as Android. Like check out like Linus Tech Tech video regarding and like these cheap China Android boxes. So I'm personally not a big fan of it. I personally love to just have like an MULX situation. So we have the Play Store, Netflix, where we don't always have the full HD and 4K resolution of these things because of the sometimes having different kind of, let's say, side-loaded, let's say, software models. It's kind of a little bit of a downside. Besides that, I wanted to deep dive into, let's say, the super player. That is what I actually wanted to check out with you. So over here, oh my, what an awful sound. So I have a MAME, PlayStation, Neo Geo, and some other arcade stuff. That's it. There's no way of getting into some other options. Pressing L1 and R1, or at least, or is it L2 and R2? Okay, it's actually L1 and R2, like I said, in the right bottom corner, but it just takes like 5 seconds to actually load up. Nevertheless, let's see, we can even search if you want to. So it's kind of interesting to see they implemented this. So there was no way to actually see what kind of platform, so that's absolutely like a really big downside. The menu looks kind of messy. They can boot up into games like Sonic Adventure. Oh, okay, so, okay, allow app V to access it. Okay, use this. Okay, let's press OK. Let's see if it's going to be booting up the game. Okay, that works. They also implemented the filter. Joystick pressing doesn't do anything. Select start will give you the quick menu where we can make a quick load and quick save over here. No screenshot whatsoever. But let's get into some gaming. Let's start off with that. So let's begin with some Game Boy Advance. And you can just like see that they're using some kind of weird inked filter over it. So far so good. So emulation seems to be working just fine with this. So what they're going to be using is an Android box, and in the back end I'm guessing it runs on some kind of, let's say, RetroArch or some kind. I do have some idea that there's like some minor stutters. But so far, so good. Let's like make a quick save slot over here. And let's go to the load. Oh, I'm just thinking, do I need to press the... Okay, let's try that again. Okay, I have no idea what's going on over here. Whatever, it's weird. Seems to be not really working at all. Oh, getting into the menu. Oh, I have seen this kind of menus with, let's say, these cheap bar tops from AliExpress. It's absolutely really horrible. But weird names like dinosaurs, like where's the Cadillac end? You know, it's kind of a mess. Select start to set the game. That's what they're saying over here. Doesn't do anything. Don't exactly what they mean with this. But let's get into some overall emulation. So far, so good. So don't have some weird shenanigans going on. So when it comes to emulation of MAME, don't expect any games like Killer Instinct or Tekken MAME will be running on this. It's quite limited. But what it runs on this seems to be running just fine. So getting into the Neo Geo, it's absolutely one hot mess. You can see that there are all kinds of different titles, cracked down on stuff that had nothing to do when it comes to, let's say, playing some Neo Geo games. Another problem I noticed, trying to boot up the Breakers game doesn't do anything at all. It just brings you back to the main menu in some of the cases. Or we're just getting the loading screen and nothing happens. Oh wait, there does something happens. That's great. I just clicked it like 4 times and actually want to record it and finally boot up the emulator. Maybe it's a first attempt thing going on. Okay, that's great, so we can actually test it. Same filters over it, like the inked filter. They're doing this to let it look a little bit smoother when it comes to playing the games. Wow, I can actually do some moves on the D-pad. So when it comes to that, that's great. Emulation performance seems to be working fine. So also when it comes to the joystick, so the controllers are not like super bad for these cheap chemical controllers. Sounds a little bit weird, but the audio sounds off. And that has nothing to do with the tiny speaker in my monitor. So far, everything seems to be running beside the audio just great. So for Genesis gaming, we can just do that without any problem. But they implemented, so far I can see every single emulator with the same kind of filter. But next up, let's try the Super Famicom. And so far all of these systems seem to be running just fine without any problem whatsoever. I really hate those ink filters. Now with this turtle game, it looks so weird. Personally, it just gives me the authentic look, and also when it comes to freaking the, like say, aspect ratio, there is no way of actually changing this out. So when it comes to that, it's quite limited, and that's one of the things they could easily map into this, let's say overall, let's say gaming, let's say menu where we can switch it out. Beside that, so far the emulation performance is great. I was not expecting any problems. And yeah, sometimes it does happen when they mapped some of the emulators wrong. Another thing is, like with input, I do have the idea that my controller has a little bit of a delay sometimes, particularly when it comes to moving around and the D-pad. You can see, whoa, this is going all places. Oh, really annoying. Yep, time for some Tekken, like always. So when it comes to Tekken gaming, I did hear some hiccups over there. But I think it was like a thing in the beginning. Let's see, get into the game. Let's check out how the over emulation is going to be working. Was expecting some faster loading times. They did map the buttons correctly when it comes to the input of the original controllers. But so far so good when it comes to PlayStation emulation. Native resolution, no problem whatsoever. But let's try another game of the PlayStation 1 series, Twisted Metal. What an amazing game, man, having so many fond memories with this game. Twisted Metal 1 and 2, for me the best like out of the series. Oh, the D-pad. The D-pad on this thing is awful. Yep. So where it actually has the options for playing fighting games, I do have this idea that with multiple inputs, you can see there is absolutely massive audio delay in I mean an input delay on this, where I didn't notice any audio delay that we have been seeing with other devices. So where the audio and visual part is great, the controllers are just so awful and so much freaking delay, it's just making this unplayable. So next up, let's try some PlayStation Portable. It's quite interesting to see that they implemented on this machine, because most of these devices are really low powered and PlayStation is in general a problem. So there was no way, so far I can see, getting into, let's say, the option menu. We can speed it up if you want to, so that's great. Pressing select start will give you the same overall, let's say, menu. We can restart the game if you want to, but beside that there's nothing we can do.